Good morning, Aletheia family. Today in the Daily Five, we're going to be finishing up talking about how to face a test. We've been looking at James chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 1 through 4 for you. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. My children have two very different ways of handling pain. My 1-year-old son, he wants to let us know that he's in pain. He throws himself on the floor, wails, whines. My 3-year-old daughter, on the other hand, she puts on a brave face. She doesn't want us to see her sweat. Now, when James tells us to count it all joy when we meet various trials, he is not telling us just to put on a brave face or to fake it till we make it. And this is really good news. He actually wants to give us a reason that we can count it all joy. Now, I've given you two things that we need to know when we face trials so far. In the first part, we said that we need to know what's being tested, and we discovered that it's our faith that's being tested. In the second part, we wanted to answer the question, why is it worth it? We need to know why it's worth it. And it's worth it because it's producing steadfastness inside of us. In this final part, we're going to see that we need to know the God of the test. The God of the test, which is what James points to in verse 1. He sees himself as a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I believe that this can be the most powerful reason to count it joy when you experience trials. Think about what Jesus faced in terms of trials and how it landed up for him. He faced trials of the level of intensity that you and I will never face. And yet, look at how his story ended. In victory, in resurrection, in vindication. James wants us to look at Jesus as the paradigm for why we can count it joy when we encounter various trials. Because Jesus, though he suffered, rose from the dead and was vindicated. Now think for a second about who's writing this letter. James was the pastor of the church in Jerusalem for about 20 years. And he looked after this congregation during a really, really difficult period. There was a widespread famine that led to widespread poverty. So imagine how he had to walk the walk of his own words. Imagine how he had to pastor people in his congregation who were facing poverty and trials of various kinds. And then he writes this letter to Jesus followers all over the Roman world, many of whom are persecuted simply because they believe in Jesus. And yet he sees serving Jesus Christ as the reason he can count it joy. Here's what this means for us. When you hear James tell you to count it joy because your faith is being tested, remember that faith is always about the way you think and feel about God. And the reason Jesus Christ gives you that you can trust God is because Jesus Christ is God. We see God's character and his trustworthiness on display in Jesus Christ. Through these trials, whatever you're facing, whether it's financial, health-wise, or emotional, when those feelings kind of prod at the question, can God be trusted? Jesus Christ gives you the unequivocal answer, yes, he can be trusted. He loves you enough to come and die to save you. And then when the question comes up, is this even worth it? Why this suffering? Why this trial? Jesus, again, is the answer, yes, it is worth it. Because Jesus' suffering led to his resurrection and his vindication. My friends, it matters. And looking to Jesus at a time like this will be the thing that helps you face the test. God bless you.